Show starts right now.
Every weekday. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Quote, buy and save on home insurance with Progressive's new home quote explorer. Only at Progressive.com. Also, tune in for baseball action this Sunday, this Sunday. That would be Sunday. As the Astros host the Indians, presented by Indeed. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, and at 7 p.m. on ESPN. 888-SAY-ESPN, it's 888-729-3776. I'll get to your calls in just a few moments. There's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Primarily, Tyreek Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyreek Hill is a superstar wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. His one reception for 42 yards notwithstanding in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. The bottom line is the brother is a stud. He is a spectacular football player. Quickness, speed, catching ability, route running, the whole nine. He's something special. But he's got himself in some trouble. And as a result, he's been banned from Kansas City Chiefs facilities indefinitely. He will not be participating in team activities indefinitely because he has found himself in a quite precarious situation. The DA involving his case with his fiancée and his 3-year-old child, the DA said that they would not prosecute a week ago, but informed the public that they thought definitely a crime had been committed, but they couldn't pinpoint specifically who to charge, etc. March 14th, police were called to Tyreek Hill's home to investigate alleged battery against the juvenile, which we later learned was his 3-year-old child. Hill was not listed in the police report. His fiancée was listed as, quote, others involved, end quote. And then on April 24th, last week, district attorney says no criminal charges would be filed against Hill. That was the end of that. Then we heard a tape recording that came out. And John, my producer, I need to know who to give credit to for that tape recording. KCTV in Kansas City, Missouri. They played a tape of Tyreek Hill talking to his fiancée and the mother of the child, I believe. And she is heard on tape interrogating him as to why a 3-year-old child would sit up there and say his daddy did whatever it was that occurred. Listen to the exchange between the two, clearly caught on tape and now played on local television airwaves, KCTV. Tyreek Hill and his fiancée talking about the incident in question. Listen to this.
Why does say daddy did it? Why? Why does say daddy did it?
I don't know. He says daddy does a lot of things.
Like what? A 3-year-old's not going to lie about what happened to his arm. He is terrified of you. And you say that he respects you, but it's not respect. It's terrified. He is terrified of you.
You need to be terrified of me too. No.
Literally kept saying, daddy punches me, which you do when he starts crying. What do? You make him open up his arms and you punch him in the chest. And then if he gets in trouble, you get the belt out.
Let me first say, ladies and gentlemen, this is an incredibly uncomfortable conversation. For me, for all of us. Because there is no one more innocent than a child. There is no one more helpless than a child. And anybody possessed with the willingness to do harm to a child is usually and should always be considered to be one of the most reprehensible human beings that we can find. Now, we can get into, as some people have said, oh, she set him up. She was taping him. Clearly, she was setting the stage for this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, it's irrelevant if he's guilty. And I didn't hear his denials. I heard him tell her she should be afraid of him too. I heard that. I heard him call her the B word. I heard that. But she's saying, we know you have him spread his arms and punch him in the chest. He's 3 years old. He's 3 years old. Then you also learned, because when First Take came on the air this morning, I didn't even know the kid's arm was broke. They said the kid's arm was broke. Ladies and gentlemen, that's justification for him not to be played. That's justification for him to be banned from Kansas City Chiefs facilities. A matter of fact, I could make the argument that that's justification not to put him on the commissioner's exempt list, because if you go on the commissioner's exempt list, you get paid for not playing. And why should you be paid if you're doing something like that? Now, because he hasn't been prosecuted in the court of law, the case has been dropped, and there are no legal ramifications that would justify stripping him of his salary. Chances are he's going to get his money. But I'm here to tell you something right now. This is just bad. And the reason why I say this conversation is uncomfortable for me is because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know what time it is in our society. The black man has been stigmatized as being individuals who are not active participants in the lives of their children. In other words, deadbeat dads, absentee fathers. And I'm here to tell you something right now. You're going to have to show me some numbers to justify that, because practically every black man I know who is a father loves and cares for his child or children and is committed to their protection, attempting to provide for them, and ensuring their well-being. Most black men I know would die for their children. So this notion that we got a problem as it pertains to black fathers is a notion I've always questioned. Plain and simple. Now, you can't get a job, you can't get a job. But people act like you got a job and you're living well and you just don't want to be a dad. I don't know black men like that. I'm not saying they don't exist, because there's a few bad apples in every ethnic group. I'm here to tell you. But by and large, for the most part, the black men I know are proud men who love their children and are committed to their child's upbringing to the best of their ability. So when you see a Tyreek Hill being associated with something this egregious, it's reprehensible. Reprehensible towards him as an individual, but also sullies the images or the image of black fathers everywhere outside of the black community, because it gives credence and buffers the notion of those who want to believe that kind of stuff to begin with. And that's the kind of stuff that ticks me off. Having said that, that's not everybody else's problem. And at the end of the day, this comes down to Tyreek Hill, who is a bad brother on the football field. He is something special. But I got to tell you, if there's any truth to what has been reported, I got to tell you something right now. I'm not going to tell you he should be banned forever like my man Dan Orlovsky on Get Up this morning. He'd never play in the NFL again. Dan clearly isn't a dude about second chances. That's his prerogative. I am, but I will tell you this. He should be banned indefinitely, and at the very least, the entire 2019 NFL season. If any of this, if it is true that he broke his child's arm, if it is true that he told him to open his arms so he could punch him in the chest, and he could do that to a 3-year-old, he should be banned from the NFL at the very least for the 2019 NFL season. And even then, it should be revisited with the commissioner's office and beyond before he's allowed back in. Again, I'm not calling for permanent banishment, but I am calling for banishment for the season, at least, with a discussion as to whether or not we'll consider letting you back in. There should be no definitive time limit on his banishment. Who could do that to a 3-year-old child? What kind of a human being are you, if this is true? Because again, we have the tape recording. We don't hear denials from him. We don't know. The DA said definitively he could not discover concrete evidence in order to indict Tyreek Hill. So this might go nowhere as it pertains to that. But I'm here to tell y'all something about these multi-billion-dollar conglomerates known as the National Football League, the NBA and stuff like that. Man, they got everybody working for them. They got local police officers working for them. They got DEA agents. They got ATF agents. They got FBI agents. You got just too many. You got just too much means not to be able to get to the bottom of this. And I want you, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to somebody. I'm very, very big about not being in other people's bedrooms. I'm very, very big on that. Because one person's misery is another person's ecstasy. We don't know what the hell goes on. But I think it's safe to say that doesn't apply here. It's a 3-year-old child getting hit in the chest by a grown man who happens to be a professional football player. And oh, by the way, a broken arm is a part of the mix too. So this is child abuse we're talking about here. There is no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this. It's inexcusable. And if Tyreek Hill is found to be guilty of this in any way, he should be banned from the league for at least the entire 2019 season. There should be an indefinite ban. Now again, I'm not going Dan Orlovsky. I'm not saying I'll never let him play in the league again. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it would be banishment for the year, but it would be an indefinite banishment because I might decide it needs to be more than that. And that would be my option if I was the commissioner of the league. This kind of stuff has got to stop. We can't excuse it. I can give you a whole bunch of reasons and rationale that other people would use, but it's an insult to intelligence and it's an insult to decency. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't give a damn what group, what ethnicity you're from. I don't care. 3 years old is 3 years old. I mean, you can literally dig into the dregs of our society. You can find a no good racist person, and even they would have compassion towards a 3-year-old. 3 years old? This is inexcusable. Inexcusable. You do something like that, you gotta pay. It's that simple. On the football front, Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, what the hell's going on? What's in the water? You on the verge of winning a Super Bowl, and Kareem Hunt gets caught on video kicking some woman, ultimately gets himself kicked off the team, banned, put on a commissioner's list. He cost Kansas City a Super Bowl title. Because I believe Kansas City would have beat the New England Patriots in that AFC Championship game if Kareem Hunt was playing. And so now that Kareem Hunt is a Cleveland Brown, albeit after he serves an 8-game suspension for that incident, now we got his teammate Tyreek Hill. He's got himself in this mess. So you have Patrick Mahomes, the reigning league MVP, with Travis Kelce, the best tight end in football, with Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. And now it's down to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Because of nonsense off the field where two brothers can't control themselves and keep their hands to themselves. And in Tyreek Hill's case, You punching a 3-year-old child in the chest? You breaking the arm of a 3-year-old child? Your own? Any 3-year-old period, but your own. For Tyreek Hill's sake, I pray that he's innocent of this. Doesn't seem that way, though. If he's guilty of this, man, like I said, indefinite suspension. I'm all about being in the land of second chances. But I got to admit to y'all, some of this stuff that's going on, I mean, they might start calling me Stephen A. Orlovsky. I might get to that point where I might want people banned for life. I mean, I'm just tired of this stuff. You work all your life to elevate yourself out of the circumstances you were brought into this world in. You pound the pavement, you grind. You ultimately nurture and cultivate a skill set that makes you nothing short of elite. As a result, you get paid millions of dollars to play a game you love. And you throw it all away potentially because of stuff like this. And then we wonder why folks have negative connotations and names for some of these folks who engage in such behavior. Because you don't seem to have the ability to control yourself. I love Tyreek Hill, the player. I love Kareem Hunt, the player. They're two studs. As talents, they could be on my team any day of the week. But what Kareem Hunt was caught doing and what Tyreek Hill is alleged to have done, Kareem Hunt lucky he's going to be playing for the Cleveland Browns. And Tyreek Hill will be lucky if he ever plays in the NFL again. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Johnny. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Go ahead,
I just
bro.
want to say something. When it comes down to the New York Giants, don't you think it's like the good old boys club?
What do you mean?
It's like this to me. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like this to me, Stephen A. And when me and my wife were watching the NFL draft, when they did not draft Haxton, I told my wife, when they were doing the interview, I said, Eli Manning, clan. That's why they took that young man.
Well, I definitely think that you have a point here because I think that, listen, they proved it because they consulted with Eli Manning. That's number one. Number two, Eli Manning, if you are 38 years old, your skills have clearly regressed. You've missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. Everybody knows you're a shell of yourself and what you used to be. But you are still aching to play. You want to collect that $20 million. Even though you've collected over $250 million in your career, you want $20 million more. That don't hurt you. You want to continue to play after the season for a couple of more years. You damn sure ain't going to welcome Dwayne Haskins to the mix because he might bounce you out of there next season. You're going to want a Daniel Jones. Why? Because he's willing to wait. Why? Because he ain't that damn good. Why? Because he's friends of the family. I mean, for all we know, they might have had Thanksgiving dinner together for all we know. I mean, is Duke really playing in November? I mean, how many days does Duke have after Thanksgiving? You know what I'm saying? I don't recall Duke being nowhere. Duke. Basketball, sure. I'm more interested in the basketball team and the tournament they playing on during the holidays than I am in Duke football. What the hell have they done? All right? You got this coach Cutcliffe. He's got a good relationship with the Mannings. And obviously Daniel Jones is somebody he's trained, and that's his quarterback for him. And Daniel Jones is seen working out with Eli. And you even have analysts talk about how they look alike. Oh, really? Well, here's the problem. When's the last time Eli Manning looked good? Huh? You know what? I got news for you. I don't think I'm a bad-looking brother. But guess what? If you tell me I look like George Jefferson, I'm not going to smile like that makes me the second coming of Denzel. That's George Jefferson. I understand the difference. I understand that I might not be that dude. But I'll be damned if I look like Sherman Hemsley. That ain't that bad. Not to say that he looked bad. I'm just talking about I'm not that old yet. I mean, come on, my hairline ain't that bad. So you looking like Eli Manning. Eli Manning is supposed to be, oh, you look like Eli Manning. What the hell does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. because he hasn't looked that good. Johnny, I got to go. I appreciate your call, man. Joe, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yes, Joe Felder, known as AK from Jersey City. I want to go quick because I know you don't got a lot of time. First of all, I'm going to say something about the Tyreek Hill situation, if I may. If he's guilty, I want to say it is a privilege to make it to any of the leagues, NFL, but we talking the NBA, we talking about NFL. If Tyreek is guilty, I'm pissed, I'm disappointed, and forget what the NFL going to do to him. He needs to go to jail and no PC. I'm embarrassed of that if he's guilty.
Of a 3-year trial, absolutely. Go ahead.
My better point that I called for. I'm more embarrassed now, just as equal as embarrassed with the Giants. I want to say, Gettleman, he says these things as a general manager. They make their money off of what the players do. They make their money off the fans who come to watch the game. Gettleman lies. He says, we didn't pay Odell to trade him. Then he turned around and trade him. Leaves $16 million on the table to pay while he's not there. He turns around in the draft and says, we're not drafting for needs. We look for the best talent that's available at the time. And he turned around and he goes and gets Daniel Jones, who is 8-5. 8-5 his last season, while Haskins is 13-1. Haskins has, in one season, the yards that Daniel Jones has in 2 years. And then he has more touchdowns in 1 year than Daniel Jones has his whole 3.5 years.
Yep.
So if you said to yourself, I don't want Haskins because that's going to be too much for Eli right now, you protecting Eli. Number one, Daniel Jones could have been picked later on in the draft because he'd have still been around. That's a guarantee. So if it was anybody except Haskins, and which is, I'm going to make my point.
Man, I thought you already made your point. You've been speaking for about 4 minutes. I thought you already made your point. Go ahead.
No, but I watch this, Stephen A. Because I love what you say. I feel you.
Go ahead.
He could have got anybody else. If you didn't want a black quarterback, which I'm not going to say that that's what it is, but I'm going to just say it's looking pretty funny like that. But you didn't have to get Haskins either. You could have got Will Greer, Drew Lock. You could have got a bunch of other people before this guy, Daniel Jones. But maybe Eli family is mafia or something. I don't know. But it's an embarrassment.
I got you, man.
For the Giants to do this.
It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. I got your point. I appreciate your call, bro. Thank you so much. Let's go to Maurice. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Stephen A. Yeah, I just wanted to say about this Giants situation. I feel bad for Giants fans. It's embarrassing. Just like last caller said. Gettleman said there's no more a bad culture. No, the culture is still there. It's called privilege. Culture is there. It's still bad. You got situations of the good old boy network, just like you said, same situation. You're overtaken. And I called about a month ago, and I told you that Gettleman would not take Haskins. And I also told you a month ago that he would get that kid from Duke. Because
I don't recall that, but I'll take your word for it. Why did you say Gettleman was going to do that? What was the reason for your thinking?
From the optics from the last administration when he was with Richardson, the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
His situation of that is that he suppresses. He does not want no one to speak to him. He don't want no rough riders on his organization. He wants people to be passive. Look at all the people he got rid of. Got rid of Beckham. When everybody spoke bad about him, got rid of the safety that went to Washington. So it's just a pattern. If you're a rough rider, he's not having you. He wants you to stand in line. And basically people like Barkley is a good player. But Barkley's not that type of person. He's not a rough rider who's going to speak
he's definitely a different kind of person. I got to go, Maurice. So I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. But Barkley is definitely a different kind of cat. But I heard Shermer saying that more so than Gettleman. So we'll see. I mean, the bottom line is this: Haskins far exceeds anything you could tell me about Daniel Jones. Period. So that's really the negative in that regard. But we'll talk about that more as the show continues. 888 say ESPN. It's 888. 729-3776. Back with your calls in more than a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, gentlemen,